Hello there, welcome to Zachipedia, and today we're going to be discussing Central and South American countries. Now, you probably mostly just think of South America as a place for maracas and various types of salsa. It actually was very politically and historically important and interesting in our history, as I'm going to explain. Now, the first historical inhabitants of South and Central America goes all the way back to about 1,500 years ago with the South and Latin American empires. Now, these were actually very advanced civilizations, which included the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mayans, the Nazca, and more, were scattered all across this area and brought us things like calendars, monotheistic religions, ziggurats, light bulbs, encrusted stone, except probably not light bulbs, and many more things that are very important to our society today. Now, they get to do this and live freely for the next 1,000 years, until, in the 1520s, two explorers come along and change the paradigm. Both Spanish. The first was Hernan Cortez, who lands in modern Mexico and completely obliterates the Aztec Empire, enslaves the natives, and steals their gold currency. The next was Francisco Pizarro, also Spanish, who landed in modern Chile and Argentina and completely destroyed the Incas. Now, obviously, this probably wasn't very good with the people, and though the Incas, the Aztecs, and all these empires tried to rebel against the Europeans, they lost. Not entirely because that they were less advanced, but because the Europeans had one special mechanism of defeating them: disease. Smallpox, a more harsh version of the chickenpox, wiped out 90% of the Native American population. Now, because of this, the Europeans were able to colonize all over this area, and the major countries there included Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, France, and England. Now, they remained inhabitants for the next 200 years. There's nothing anybody can do about it. Goodbye. Or so we thought, until in the early 1800s, a man from Colombia named Simón Bolívar decides this isn't right. We deserve to have independence, and we are our own continent. However, this is kind of stereotypical and hypocritical, because Bolívar, most people fighting for independence, were actually descendants of the Europeans and not the Native Americans. But who cares? They get independence anyway. They fight in 1810, and they show how tough they are. They go in there, they swing, they completely lose. The Europeans are too strong for Bolívar and his army, and they go fleeing down into Argentina. However, Bolívar is not willing to give up yet. He tries again 10 years later at 1820, and guess what? He wins! He founds a new country over here called New Granada, which he becomes the president of, which later becomes Venezuela, Ecuador, and Colombia. And practically all of Central and South America become independent and found their own new countries like they still have today, which include Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Mexico, El Salvador, Panama, Costa Rica, and many more that make up all of this precious Southern Western Hemisphere. Now, they all had very vital and important capitals too, which include Buenos Aires, Montevideo, Asunción, La Paz, and Sucre. And oh, this one's a little bit of a tough one. Capital Brazil is Brasilia. Then there's Lima, Peru, Santiago, Chile, Quito, Ecuador, Bogota, Colombia, Caracas, Venezuela, Georgetown, Guyana, and Suriname is Paramaribo. I knew that one. And there's a little bit of a tough one again for Panama. Probably didn't know this one. Panama City. Costa Rica, San Jose, Managua, Nicaragua, San Salvador, El Salvador, Tegucigalpa, Honduras, Belmopan, Belize, Guatemala City, Guatemala, and Mexico City, Mexico, making up a total of nearly 20 countries. I knew that. Now, because of this, these countries had different ways of government. For example, Brazil, for one time, was an own independent monarchy, and some of these countries, including Venezuela, Argentina, Peru, and Nicaragua, took up a communist government, meaning that all money and wealth is divided equally to everybody, meaning there's no separation of classes. And though that may sound good in theory, it's never really worked out the way it's supposed to. However, they ended up disputing all of these ideas and finally found all of these countries under a new parliamentary democracy, which we know today. And now I'm almost done talking, which means I can finally relax and try tortilla chips. Oh, that was terrible. Alright, bye.